Have you ever looked at really great product and wondered how they got it so right? Well, I can tell you, it's probably not magic. It's A/B testing. And in this explainer, we're going to give you a super practical guide to help you move from just guessing to a truly data-driven strategy.
So let me just ask you, when you're about to launch a new feature, or maybe change up a design, or even just tweak the words on a button, how are you making that final call? Are you kind of just going with your gut, relying on what you think your users are going to want?
Hey, if you are, you're definitely not alone. But you know what? There is a much better way. A/B testing is basically the perfect cure for guesswork. It's a method that lets your actual users tell you what works best, and it uses real, hard evidence instead of some pretty risky assumptions. And this really shows the contrast perfectly. On one side, you've got that gut feeling, which, let's be honest, is risky and full of assumptions. But on the other side, you have A/B testing, which is all data-driven, based on evidence, and focused on optimization. This is the huge difference between building what you think people want and building what you know they'll actually use. All right, so let's get into it. First things first, what exactly are we talking about here? What is A/B testing at its core? It's actually a really simple idea. You just take two versions of something. Let's call the original web page A and your new modified version B. Then you show version A to one group of users and version B to another group, and then you just measure. You see which version gets you better results, like more signups or more sales. The data decides the winner, not opinions. Simple as that. Okay, so we know what it is. Now, how do you actually do it? Well, here is a simple but really powerful framework that you can start using pretty much immediately. So you can run a basic test in just 5 steps. First step, research and hypothesize. Now, the key here is a strong hypothesis. Don't just say, maybe a green button will work better. No, you want to say something like, changing the button to green will increase clicks by 5% because it stands out more against our background. Get specific. Second, create the variation. Now, here's a classic mistake, changing too many things at once. If you change the button, color, and the headline, you have no idea which change actually made the difference. So you've got to isolate your variables. Third, run the test. Fourth, collect and analyze the data. And finally, number 5, draw your conclusions. And here's a crucial little insight for you. A failed test is still a win. It's super valuable learning about what your users don't want. So now you have the basic framework down, but let's talk about the first big trap that so many people fall into, and that is ending the test way too soon. This quote from A/B Tasty just captures the problem perfectly. You run a test for a couple of days, you see these super exciting results, and you immediately declare a winner. But then, when you roll out the change for everyone, that amazing lift you saw just vanishes. So why does that happen? Well, the reason is that your early users might not represent your entire audience. Maybe they're the super eager early adopters, or maybe you just ran an email campaign that brought in a very specific type of person. You know, it's kind of like flipping a coin only 10 times. You might get 7 heads, but that doesn't mean the coin is rigged. You just need a much bigger sample size to see the real pattern. Now, what's so interesting here is this is a classic early result. Look at this. After just 3 days, version B looks like a home run, a clear winner. The temptation to just stop the test right there and ship it is huge. But watch what happens when we're just a little more patient. After 2 weeks, the results have totally evened out. That big lead just disappeared as a more normal, representative mix of users saw the test. Turns out the change didn't really have an impact at all. Ending that test early would have been a big mistake. So, the crucial point is this. While every single site is different, a really solid rule of thumb is to run your tests for at least 1 or 2 full business cycles. For most businesses, that usually averages out to about 2 weeks. This gives you enough time to see all the different user behaviors and get a result you can actually trust. Okay, so you're running your tests for the right amount of time. That's awesome. But there is another hidden trap we need to talk about, focusing only on your main goal and creating some serious blind spots. I want you to imagine this scenario. You launch a new feature, and the A/B test results come back looking incredible. Your primary metric, user engagement, is up by a whopping 15%. Time to pop the champagne, right? Well, maybe hold on a second. Is that really the whole story? Because sometimes a big win in one area can cause some pretty serious unintended problems somewhere else. And it turns out in this case, the new feature was so computationally intensive that your server costs have literally tripled. Whoops.
that 15% engagement lift just became a very, very expensive problem that you're going to have to explain to leadership. And this is exactly why we need something called guardrail metrics. Just think of them as a safety net. So while your primary metric is the thing you're trying to improve, your guardrail metrics are the critical things you absolutely positively do not want to harm in the process. Things like site performance, user satisfaction, or your costs.
You know, the best companies do this all the time. For example, Netflix might want you to click on more of their recommendations, but they're going to use stream start times as a guardrail to make sure the core experience doesn't get any slower. Or Airbnb. They might test changes to increase bookings, but they're going to keep a close eye on guest satisfaction scores to make sure quality doesn't take a nosedive. It's really all about balancing innovation with stability.
So let's bring all of this together. Let's talk about what a final, truly expert-level approach to A/B testing looks like. Here are the absolutely crucial points. First, stop guessing. Adopt a data-driven framework. Second, you've got to be patient. Run your tests long enough to get the true picture. Aim for about 2 weeks. Third, always identify your guardrail metrics to make sure you're not accidentally breaking something important. And finally, just remember that A/B testing isn't some one-off tool. It's really a culture of continuous learning and improvement. And that brings us to the end. I just want to leave you with this one question to think about. What is the one big assumption that you've been making about your users or your product or your website that after watching this, you're now ready to finally put to the test?